Alright, so you just picked up the brand new DJI RS5 and you're looking to get the absolute most out of this gimbal. Well, in this video, I'm going to walk you through the entire process of balancing your camera, understanding all the settings and buttons, and knowing which different modes to use for certain scenarios. So let's jump right in. Before getting started, I suggest making sure the battery is fully charged. Then take the quick open tripod and screw it into the battery grip. Now slide the battery grip into the gimbal until you hear that click, and then rotate the locking lever clockwise. The battery should be locked into the gimbal right now. You'll notice that the gimbal comes folded like this with all three axes locked. Each axis has a lock right here. First, unlock the roll axis. Move it into this position and then lock it again. Then unlock the tilt axis. Move it into this position and lock it again. Now you're ready to mount your camera to the gimbal. The RS5 uses a two-part quick release system with a smaller upper plate and a longer lower plate. Remove the upper plate from the lower plate and attach that to your camera using the 1/4" screw. Make sure it's snug against the camera using this plastic little thing. That's going to make sure it's aligned perfectly. Then grab the longer plate from before and insert that onto the gimbal. Just make sure that this locking lever right here is set to the unlocked position. When the plate's in place, make sure you lock the lever again. Now you can slide the camera into the lower plate. Again, making sure that the lever on the back here is in the unlocked position. Once it snaps into place, lock the lever again. Now you can start balancing the gimbal, and this is going to be the most important step because if your gimbal isn't balanced properly, it's not going to function the way it should and you're not going to get smooth footage. Start by unlocking the tilt axis and move the camera so that the lens is pointing upwards. If the camera falls forward, unlock this lever here and move the camera in this direction using the fine-tuning knob. If it falls backward, move the camera in the other direction. Once the camera stays steady, pointing up, you can lock it in place. With the tilt axis still unlocked, move the camera in a horizontal position with the lens facing forward. If the camera falls forward, unlock the lever on the side here and move the camera backwards by turning the fine-tuning knob. If the camera falls back, just move it forward. Once the camera stays steady in a horizontal position, you can lock it in place and the tilt axis is now balanced. Next up is the roll axis. Unlock the roll axis here. If it leans towards the left like this, unlock the lever here and use the fine-tuning knob to move it towards the right. If it leans towards the right, just move it towards the left. Once it sits level, make sure to lock the lever and the axis is locked. The last step in balancing the gimbal is the pan axis. Unlock the pan axis here. Tilt the gimbal over like this, and if the arm swings to one side, unlock the lever here and adjust the fine-tuning knob in the opposite direction it falls. When it stays steady, the pan axis is balanced and you can lock it in place. Now you're ready to turn on the gimbal, and you do that by pressing and holding the power button on the side. An important step to do once you've balanced your gimbal is to calibrate the motors. This will make sure that every motor is optimized for your current payload. First, make sure you've got the gimbal set on a flat surface. You can start calibration by tapping this icon on the touchscreen and then select Calibrate. But you can also hold the M button and the front trigger button and the gimbal will start auto calibration. It'll wiggle around a bit and calibrate motor stiffness based on your payload. You can also manually adjust motor stiffness if you want to, but I honestly never do this. Now let's go over the different buttons and different modes on the RS5 gimbal. So we already saw that pressing and holding the power button will turn on or off the gimbal. If you press it once, you'll set the gimbal to sleep mode, which will lock the axis. Press it again and you'll exit sleep mode. Right above the power button, you'll see the gimbal mode switch. Here you can easily switch between different gimbal modes: pan, tilt, follow, pan, follow, and FPV. Pan follow only follows left and right movements and will keep your camera horizontally level. This is great for any kind of follow shots where you don't want the camera to tilt up or down. Pan tilt follow adds that up or down movement, also known as tilt. This is great for all kinds of reveal shots, for example. FPV mode will also unlock the roll axis of the gimbal. That way you can get these very off-axis abstract shots. If you head over to the gimbal touchscreen and tap this icon right here, you can select a few more gimbal modes. One being 3D Roll 360 mode. The camera is going to rotate upwards, and you can now hold the grip horizontally and then use the joystick to rotate the camera. This will allow you to get these vortex shots. There's also custom mode, where you can select which axis you want to enable or disable depending on what you need. Moving on to the front of the gimbal, you'll find this trigger button, which has quite a few handy functions. First off, it unlocks an extra gimbal mode. Holding the trigger button while you're filming will set the gimbal to lock mode, so the camera will stay pointing in exactly the same direction and won't make any panning or tilting movements. This can be great if you're doing a straight push in or pull out where you want the camera to just stay pointing in one direction. If you tap the trigger button twice, the gimbal will recenter the camera. If you tap it 3 times, it will go into selfie mode and turn the camera around. The dial in the front is set to control the focus motor by default, but you can change its function in the settings menu to a number of different options depending on what you might need. Then there's the M button right here. You can set the function of this button in the menu, but by default, pressing it once will take a photo. Holding this will set the gimbal to sport mode. Then press and hold the M button and double tap the trigger button to stay in sport mode. This will increase the gimbal's follow mode, and this is great if you're shooting fast action stuff. Underneath the M button, you'll find the record button. Once your camera is Bluetooth connected to the gimbal, you can press this button to start recording or half press it to set focus. On the left side of the gimbal, you'll find the joystick mode switch. You can choose between zoom mode or joystick mode. Joystick mode will let you control the gimbal's movement with the joystick. And zoom mode will let you use the joystick to zoom in or out if your camera's lens supports it. You can also adjust the joystick speed and smoothness in the settings, which we'll look at in a second. Now let's have a closer look at the touchscreen of your DJI RS5 gimbal. On the home screen, the first icon you'll see is auto calibration, which we already saw before. Next to that is the balance status. If this is green, the gimbal is balanced, and if it's red, it means it's unbalanced. You can also tap this icon to see further balancing details. On the bottom left is follow mode. Here you can see whether you're set to pan follow, pan tilt follow, or FPV, for example. When in FPV mode, you can tap this icon and then go to 3D Roll 360 mode or custom mode. And lastly, there is follow speed. Here you can change how the gimbal reacts to your movements. Smooth will have the gimbal do gradual starts and stops when changing movements. Responsive is going to make the gimbal snap much quicker to change movements. You can then also choose between slow, medium, fast, or custom. Slow provides maximum smoothness and a more delayed reaction of the gimbal, and this is great for slow, subtle movements. Medium is the default and most natural setting, which will work for most everyday scenarios. Fast will allow the gimbal to react quickly to your movements, and this can be great for fast-paced action shots. And new on the RS5 screen is this Z-axis indicator you'll see right here. This will basically give you an indication of how smooth you're walking. So if you're bouncing a lot while walking, you'll see it go red. However, if you're doing a good ninja walk, it will be green. You can turn off this indicator in the system settings. If you slide down from the home screen, you can enter the gimbal display settings here. You can connect to your camera via Bluetooth here, make adjustments to your focus motor if you have one connected, and here you can change all the system settings. If you slide up from the home screen, you can change the joystick settings, the front dial settings for the M button, focus motor, and trigger button. And I suggest changing the joystick settings to get smoother results when using the joystick. Speed controls how fast the camera will move when you move the joystick. Slow will of course have the camera move nice and slow, and fast will get you much more rapid movements. The smoothness settings controls how fast or smooth the camera will start or stop when you push the joystick. If you set it to low, it will be quite abrupt and a little bit jerky. When it's on high, it gradually and smoothly starts and stops that movement when you touch the gimbal joystick. If you slide left from the home screen, you can access intelligent gimbal functions such as time-lapse, track, and panorama. If you slide right from the home screen, you can enter the active track interface. And if you see this screen right here, it means your active track module is not connected to the gimbal. So let's connect the tracking module. You can see it snaps onto the top here magnetically, and let's have a look at some of the settings. Once the module is attached, you'll see this icon appear on the screen. And also on the module itself, you'll see this light turn red. If we now swipe right on the home screen, we can enter Active Track. You'll see a live preview of what the module's camera is seeing. On the bottom left here, you can enter the Active Track settings. The first thing you can do here is adjust the composition. The first option here is Center Tracking Subject, which will keep whatever you are tracking in the center of the frame. You can also choose Keep Current Framing. This will allow you to place your subject however you like in your frame, and the tracker will keep it positioned there throughout the tracking process. Next, you can set the active track speed to slow, medium, or fast. Slow will have the gimbal react smoothly and with a slight delay, whereas fast will have the gimbal react more quickly when tracking. And here you can turn on or off the indicator light on the module. In the gesture settings, you can adjust which functions certain gestures have. By default, raising your hand will start or stop tracking. You'll see that the light on the front of the module will go from red to green. A peace sign will start or stop recording when your camera is connected via Bluetooth. A double L gesture will allow you to adjust the composition of the tracked subject. Show the double L gesture again to lock in the composition. In the Camera View Calibration menu, you can adjust the center of the active track view if it deviates from the center of your camera view. Now let's start tracking. To start tracking a subject or a person, there are a few different methods. You can either tap the trigger in the front of the gimbal to start tracking. A green box will appear around the subject you want to track. And also the light on the front and the back of the module will turn green. If you are in Keep Current Framing mode, you can use the joystick to adjust the composition. If you now press the trigger twice, it will cancel tracking and recenter the gimbal. You can also manually draw a box around any subject that you want to track. This can be any animal, vehicle, person, or any other object. Now the RS5 has a quick release system for vertical shooting, and this allows you to quickly go from horizontal to vertical shooting mode. Start by loosening the plate knob in the back right here. Then press the knob to release the mounting plate. Now you can rotate the camera vertically, and you can see that right here there are these mounting points where the locking pins will fit into. Push it into place and then lock that screw on the back again. It is recommended to now rebalance the gimbal to get the best results in vertical mode. Alright, so to sum all of this up, the 5 most important things to keep in mind for getting the best results from your DJI RS5 is to balance it correctly, use auto calibration, choose the correct follow mode for the type of shot you want, and adjust the follow speed settings and joystick settings depending on your shooting scenario. Anyway, I hope this guide helps you get started with your DJI RS5 so you can jump straight to getting great shots. And if you have any questions, just drop them down in the comments and I'll do my best to answer all of them. Alright, that's it for this one. Thanks a lot for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye bye.